Sportscast SA presents Game On. Game On. South Australians' destination for everything sports. Local, national, and international sports. AFL football, soccer, basketball, golf, baseball, tennis, cricket, and any other sports played in this wide world. And we're going to have a blast doing it. So sit back, relax, and let's do this thing. Welcome to Game On.
And welcome to Game On. My name's Pete, once again joined with Malcolm, and we did promise in one of our episodes late in 2023 that we'd be doing a cricket-only episode, so let's bring it on.
Yep, let's have a crack.
Let's go. We're going to start off with a test match, mate. The second test against Pakistan, we'll go back a step.
Yep.
Didn't go as smoothly as Australia sort of wanted.
Started superbly. 2 wickets in the first 8 balls of the test match, and then get Babar on the review where it looked like it was going to miss leg stump. I still think he should have been given the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of ball tracking. I still agree with Kerry O'Keefe's call of it that it's a drunk uni student doing it,
Yep.
that it goes anywhere.
Yes.
But it comes, so they've gone down. They've ended up, they're 9 for 227. And bizarrely, Australia have done what they did in the Ashes in England, trying to just bounce the crap out of them.
Yep.
And Pakistan have recovered through just really stupid bowling and tactics. Like, why any side in cricket removes bowled and LBW out of the equation? You're effectively removing 2 dismissals out of 10
Yes.
out of the game. It's just staggering. And it was just so frustrating yet again, where you get bowl at the stumps.
Yep.
The old thing, you miss, I hit, you're out, and just removed it. And yes, Pakistan batted well, but geez, Australia helped them big time.
I did hear a little bit of a comment that that some of the commentators had been, as they do, they wander around and watch some of the practice sessions in the nets, and they said that they had been Pakistan had been practicing for that, so they were aware that it was going to be coming. And yeah, you're right, Australia just a bit like a drunken sailor, like you said, that kept bowling the short stuff and not bowling stump to stump like they should have been.
Oh, look, I just thought it was just staggering. And to allow Amir Jamal to make 82 with just not trying to effectively get him out the conventional way. Now, you're also bowling to get a guy out caught hooking on the boundary. Well, the top edge goes over the keeper's head. The ball lands, mishit, lands in front of the fielder and all that. Again, you've got 3 wooden bits. Hit the bloody things.
Absolutely.
It was just dumb. Look,
and Australia,
Rizwan and Salman batted well. Let's be fair there. Rizwan's a good player.
Yes.
And I like Salman. I can't work out why he's batting 7 and Saud Shakil is batting 5. And yet again, Pat Cummins another 5-fer. So it's the first time since Merv Hughes in 88 to have a player get 3 5-fers in a row. And
he's bowling well at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's nearly caught Dizzy. I reckon he'll catch Dizzy by the end of this test match with Dizzy's on 259. So he's gone past, of course, Garth McKenzie and Richie Beno with 248 test wickets in the last 2 test matches.
Yep.
And that quartet now has the most number of wickets as a quartet in Australian cricket history. But, yeah, I just think, and it's funny, Lyon's confidence seems to go. He got, the victim of that LBW being reversed again and if that was going over the stumps, well, I'm on another planet against Shahid. Let's get his name, the correct pronoun, against Masood in Melbourne.
Yes.
And he hasn't bowled as well since. So his confidence does seem to go quickly like that. And
Pakistan seem to be attacking him a little bit. That's what it looks like just from the outside.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That is their plan, is that they want to take him out of the equation, so to speak. And every time he's come on to bowl, they've looked to attack. That's what it really looks like.
And he did well against that in the first innings in Melbourne, where he got Masood, who tried to hit him over the top, got him caught at cover by Marsh, got the ball above the eyes and float and some drift. But no, they went after him. They batted him very well yesterday. He didn't bowl as well, and he does, as most offies, you don't actually like the opposition going after you and on flat wickets and that sort of thing. And then, of course, we had I don't know if you saw it, Warner last night, where he chopped down off the second last ball of the day. How that missed the stumps was just staggering.
Well, while you're speaking about that, let's move on to the third test, obviously, in Sydney. And,
we're floating back and forth.
We are a little bit, but let's just... Pakistan struggled early on and then really got a hold of the Aussies in the afternoon, and the wicket looked like it was going to give something to the batsmen at some stage throughout the day. They took full advantage of it. They
did, and at 5 for 96, I actually thought Australia will be in front by stumps. It's a ho-hum 3.5-day test match coming up here. But to Pakistan's credit, yes, Australia's tactics were dumb, and that's being polite, but Pakistan fight, and they fought hard in Melbourne, and it's actually been a pretty enthralling 3 test match series, which is... Melbourne could have gone either way, especially it was their catching, which really cost them in Melbourne. And again, imagine if 2020 didn't dominate the circuit, so you'd have proper warm-up games for test sides. So it still looks like Pakistan are really adjusting now.
Yes.
Still, and it's the third test.
And they're just about to move on,
That's where it's crazy. The whole system is wrong.
Obviously, Australia losing the toss and Pakistan electing to bat, and like we said, certainly did their bit along the way to keeping Australia sort of at bay, which, was much, much needed. But Rizwan with 88 and Ali Algier with 53 as well. Very, very good batting performance. And then Amir Jamal once again comes into the attack and another 82.
Yeah, and look, I'm not bolt smart. Yeah. If he's punching drives and things like that, I'll wear that, not the bouncer brigade.
Yep. Where do we see this one ending up? Obviously, we're recording live at the moment with Australia currently none for 21. We'll probably put this podcast out on Friday, so we'll be a day or so behind. Do we see Australia continuing to bat through and really try and put this game out of reach?
Australia will try and get 450, 500, no doubt about that. But at the moment, it's game on. Very much so. Evenly poised at the moment. And we'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, it certainly looked like Australia were going to get out reasonably cheaply. Get Pakistan out reasonably cheaply, and then being frustrated by basically batting the entire day and only leaving an over or so at the end of the day one. Makes it for a very enthralling clash, which I think Australia definitely needs when we talk about a subject coming up a little bit later. But where do we see Australia sort of fitting in 2024? I mean, 2023 was huge. How do we sort of follow that up?
Oh, look, it's a worry. Look, as someone who actually really follows Shield cricket, it's not, you haven't got the depth like we used to have. Like, you think Stuart Law played the one test match. Darren Lehman only played 23. Darren Lehman, Brad Hodge. There was real depth. Stephen Uto, Jamie Cox. There was huge depth in Australian cricket. At the moment, if a batsman got injured, there's Cam Green to come back in, or Bancroft. But a middle order player, there's no one knocking the door down.
Yep.
I actually think Nathan McSweeney from here, who's come down to us from Queensland, full credit to the Redbacks on that one, because he was an Australian under-19 player with a batting depth in Queensland, decides to relocate down here, and tell you what, he's doing it all right off the ground too. That's always worthwhile viewing while you're at a Shield game.
It might be a good fillet to get a few people there. That's for sure.
So I think he's the closest on the middle order side of things. And so that, again, to the other point now is, years ago, the Test players played Shield cricket, and as Dizzy used to say, if you did well against a full strength New South Wales team, that was better than what a lot of the test opposition
Yep.
was. So there wasn't the big gap, where now the gap's enormous. And, yeah, I'm just not really sure where we're going to be. We need some youth to come through. Wiley from WA looked good early, and he's fallen away.
Yep.
And there really isn't any other youngsters banging the door down. Edwards from New South Wales is an all-rounder, shows a bit, it's a potential. Hardy from WA, again, an all-rounder. I think he's a pretty fair player, Hardy, actually.
Yep.
But there's no batsman knocking the door down. Bowling-wise, Lance Morris from WA, yeah, I think there's a fair bit of potential, and he is quick.
Yes.
Um,
So, I mean, Australia are going through a bit of a changing of the guard. I mean, obviously we know Warner's retiring at the end of this test. Usman Khawaja's probably made no secret that,
well, he's 37.
Exactly. So he's getting on a little bit. It sort of leads me into my next question is Test match cricket dead? It has been a bit of a hot topic in the last couple of days, but on the basis that a lot of our, I suppose, name players are starting to retire.
It's actually ironic. It was funny this morning, Pete, and it wasn't researching or anything. I just was doing a bit on the Footy Almanac site, and I came across an article I wrote over 5 years ago about Test cricket being in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say I wouldn't have minded. Nostradamus is a bit there, and I'll send that through to you. We'll muck around a bit with that.
Absolutely.
But while we knew 2020 was a huge danger, we didn't know about things like the IPL will end up effectively purchasing South Africa's 2020 situation, where South African cricket is struggling so much. It's relying effectively on the Indian money. So they're now sending a test side to New Zealand where it's second, third string side.
Well,
and that's just a major worry for Test cricket. Like,
you
would have thought
people are asking for refunds on their tickets.
Yeah.
That's the worrying part about it.
And West Indies side here, like you and I pop down the nets of the West Indies and we might be a chance to play. Like, again, that West Indies has been in that situation for a while.
Yes.
Effectively the same thing. Not quite as blunt as the IPL, India effectively purchasing South African cricket.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you've got the big three, or the big one plus the other two.
Yep.
I just think haven't had their eyes on the whole world cricket thing. And if we end up with just 2020 cricket, so I had mild interest in it. Now, well, it was a classic on...
it's overload, isn't it?
Oh, massive overload. And if you put a test match on 10 years ago, I'll say straight away what happened and all that.
Yep.
You put 2020 games on, I've got no idea.
Yep.
And that's coming from a cricket moron, let alone the average person.
Yep.
And it's just massive overload. It just press the button, next one. And you sort of have it on in the background as have a glimpse.
White
if
noise,
that,
yep.
Where now, I actually can't remember the last time I actually watched a whole Big Bash game.
Fair call. New Zealand obviously making no jokes about the fact that, as I mentioned, refunding of tickets, they're losing money, hand over fist. This is why I think Test cricket is in some real dire straits. And like you said,
massive.
Second-rate team being sent to another country to play, it does sort of smack a little bit of arrogance, as also that people are putting Test match cricket behind the eight ball.
Yeah, it's
a scary time.
it is. As a cricket lover, it's a huge worry.
Yes, I mean, I love my cricket. I know you love it.
Yeah.
Like, you get into it way more than what I do. But I love it as well, and I see a need for it, yes, but I think that the structure at the moment needs to be completely redone to be able to accommodate all three forms of cricket in their time slots.
The game is in the greatest crisis it's ever been. And I go right back, World Series cricket, that needed to happen for the players to actually keep playing. That actually saved players in the end.
Yep.
And all that. Where you had Bradman, who thought it was his own grade 3 lunch money in his pocket and all that side of things. But at the moment now, it's just obscene, the money.
Well, the classic...
Good luck to Spencer Johnson, but 1.7 million Well, good luck to him.
Yep.
Jeez, wow.
I mean, you look at the. We'll take Perth as an example. Don't want to pick on Perth in particular, but they get a small crowd to their Test match against Pakistan that they secured. Obviously, they get a small crowd there. Yet their 2 or 3 Big Bash matches that they've had, it's almost been a sellout, 45,000, 50,000 each time.
Oh, they're a different breed, Western Australia.
Yeah.
It is it's quite amusing where people say South Australia and Victoria, the parochialism and all that. WA is another step again. And it is. It's, the WA, there's still a lot of anger over Justin Langer there and a bit of, hang on, it is time to move on there. And, so it's a different breed and it's the lack of support for the Test match. They're only going to have themselves to blame when they lose it.
Absolutely. All right, mate, we'll leave the Australian Test match there. We'll move on to the Sheffield Shield. Redbacks sitting in 5th at the moment. What needs to change at the Redbacks, do you think?
Runs in the top order. Easier said than done.
Yes.
Look, the pitch is actually doing a bit at Adelaide Oval, which for mine's a pleasant change. The batters are all whinging, that's doing way too much. I'm not so much on that case. I actually think South Australia just purely on their balance of their side. Not that he's had a huge couple of years here, but have missed Jake Weatherald for just someone to attack at the top of the order. And I think it's affected Henry Hunt's game. So, there was one game after 19 overs, we were none for 14.
Yep.
All of a sudden you lose a wicket or two. Daniel Drew has fallen away where he looked to be the answer at 3 last year. I go to coaching on this one. I know we actually recorded Rick Darling last night.
Yes.
And it was funny that myself and Rick Darling both said the same thing within a minute of each other when Hags burst out laughing. He said, Rick's over there. He's just said the same thing.
Yes.
Now, what in the hell the batting coach is doing? So Daniel Drew has gone from hitting the ball very straight last year, hitting the ball past mid-on, to now hitting around his front pad, and he's become an LBW candidate, something chronic. So that's got me beat there on coaching.
Yes.
Like Dizzy Hes coach. We've got Ryan Harris. That's great on the bowling side, but what are we doing with the batting here, which is our big problem? Our bowling overall this year has been quite good, but it's runs at the top order. Like, I'm sorry, we're playing, as we've got on the running sheet, Ben Menente's leading the batting.
That was what I was going to lead into, yes.
He's batting at number 8.
Yes.
He is playing effectively as a batsman who can bowl a bit, batting at 8, because our order is so poor above, because we've struggled so far above. Now, I don't get it that Jake Lehman, when he plays district cricket, opens the batting for East Torrens. Well, it said, no, his technique's not good enough to make runs at the top opening. Well, he's captain. He's struggled since the first game at 5. And at least he plays shots. Why not try him opening? I don't. If Jake's going to stay in the side, which I don't think he will, I think he'll get dropped. I think Nathan McSweeney will captain.
Yep.
But if he is in that regard, open him. Try it. It's not working anywhere else. Jake Gardner comes over from WA on a 3 or 4 year contract. So effectively they've had to play him. Now he's had heaps of opportunities. He's not up to it in terms of the opportunities. Unfortunately, Kelvin Smith didn't grab his opportunity. Got a couple of starts, a couple of 30s odds, but didn't go on. The game before he got dropped, he got to 32. If he converted that into a 50 or 100, he's probably cemented his spot the rest of the year. So
a little bit of a rejigging of the order.
Maybe, but
look at the batting coach.
Yeah, we desperately just need a batsman to come through. It's really, out of the top 7, it's been Nathan McSweeney, Gap, Menente at 8. It's a real worry. And like Nathan McAndrew's bowled very well. Yeah,
well, I was going to mention that he's obviously the leading wicket taker, Nathan McAndrew. And
Jordan Buckingham's been excellent as well. Got 7 for against Tasmania in the first game. Unfortunately, he's had some injury problems, but did well for the Prime Minister's 11 against Pakistan.
Yes.
And I actually think he's got a lot to offer. And unfortunately, Spencer Johnson did his hamstring playing for Australia. Hasn't played a first-class game yet. makes his comeback now for Brisbane Heat.
Yep.
So we actually haven't had our full bowling attack available either. But if our side was stronger at the batting, Ben Menenti wouldn't be in the side. Lloyd Pope would be the spinner, but unfortunately we've got to play him because our batting's poor. So that's the real worry.
Fair enough. We did mention at the end of last year your Christmas wish was to get the Redbacks over the line for the remainder of the season. Probably a little bit of a stretch at this stage, but obviously, like you said, maybe a little bit of rejigging of the order, change of mindset, a little bit. But
look, it is a fine line. The game in WA, they were unlucky. Goodwin was given not out, caught down the leg side when he plainly hit it when you saw it again on replay, which probably cost the game over there. Look, here against Victoria, we just battered them. Alex Carey shot, and I'm a massive Alex Carey fan.
Yes.
But it was a dumb shot. He was on 81. He bats through to lunch. Him and Liam Scott are still there at lunch, and then you've got Menenti still to come. We probably would have got up against Victoria. So we're unlucky in one, thrown the other one away. If we'd won those two, we'd be right up. So It is a fine line.
Previous guest, Ryan Harris, we've also had him on our flashbacks on Wednesday just recently. He'd be pretty chuffed that his bowling attack is keeping the Redbacks in a lot of games, but you're like you said, the batting's just letting them down a little bit. You get that right, it's a fine line between pleasure and pain, and some of those results might go their way.
We probably didn't bowl that well, or we didn't bowl well to Sam Harper in the game against Victoria here, where we had them under trouble. He came in at 7 and smashed us everywhere to make 100.
Yep.
Where again, I think the bowling was a little bit nowhere near as bad as Australia's yesterday, but a little bit of similarity.
Yes,
where the old line and length. Fourth stump line. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
Says it all.
All right, we'll move on to some local cricket. Glenelg currently sitting top of the men's Division 1 or first grade West End men's ladder at the moment with 4 wins.
Yeah, their batting's been, they're a pretty consistent side. So the McInerney, who came back to South Australia, had played some Shield cricket. Played some Shield cricket. Went up to Queensland, came back as a Woodville player. Woodville but he ended up going to Glenelg.
Yes, yep.
And he's been pretty important for them. And Winter, so their batting overall has been good.
And I know you'd be pretty happy. Adelaide Uni currently sitting in second spot, Teatree Gully in third, and West Torrens in fourth. So,
yeah, and Uni, it's been a bit of a changing of the guard. They've lost a few, like Winter going back to Teatree Gully, Brazil going back to Teatree Gully, and a few other players just departing. So Sam Kerber is leading that side pretty well. And, they're being pretty competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think Uni overall, and also a coaching change there with Ben Hilliard, did well over a long term.
Yes.
Departing. Like Liam Grieber went to Port Adelaide. So, they've been pretty... And good to see Sam Darling, as we mentioned quickly last night. Rick's son made his best batting contribution in the game before Christmas to help get Uni up. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And getting on to some matches this weekend, 2 days, Kensington versus Adelaide Uni. Plans to be a big one out at Kensington Oval?
Yeah, out at Parkinson. Kensington, who have been fallen away, which, look, while they were not saying it publicly, privately, they're not surprised in terms of the players they'd lost. Brown retiring, he's been fantastic stalwart. Elliot Opie then deciding to retire as well. Losing Ross, who's gone to Sydney. Mm-hmm. Alex Ross is now relocated to Sydney. So they'd lost players, and also then the controversial bit of setting up the South Australian under-19 side, which is now playing in Div 2, so that the lost players there who would have been playing in their Div 1 side this year.
Yep.
So that's
the
also
nature
been a bit
of that beast with
controversial
how it changed,
as well. Whether that helps the players involved is debatable as well.
Absolutely. All right. And East Torrens v Woodville out at Campbelltown Memorial Oval, just up the road there.
Yes. I might call in there at some stage as well.
Beautiful oval for cricket.
It is. And the picket fence, it's incredible how a picket fence creates the illusion of the oval being so much bigger.
Yes.
It's quite bizarre, but it is a great ground. I personally think if it's going to be hosting a game, I think it could well and truly host Shield Cricket without a problem, and that. Whether Shield Cricket should go to the country is probably more a debatable point than staying at Metropolitan.
Well, I played quite a few football games there. It used to be a quagmire, but now I drive past it and absolutely it looks a treat every time I visit it for sure.
No, it's a fantastic ground, Campbelltown. Full credit. It's called the Taj Mahal for a reason. It is a fantastic complex, and I'd love to see a Shield game.
And Glenelg taking on Tea Tree Gully out at Glenelg Oval. Home ground advantage.
Yeah, as I said, their depth and that overall. We probably might do a little bit at another stage and go through the players at the top of the level and all that side of things.
Yes.
Their leading batting and bowling and that. But, yeah, you'd expect Glenelg to be too strong there. But Tea Tree Gully, probably a little inconsistent, but they've certainly still got couple of players who could come off, like a Gadding, to get a big score, whatever could come off.
Absolutely. And to finish us off, Port Adelaide v West Torrens out at Port Adelaide Oval or Port Adelaide Reserve.
Yeah, pretty important game that. So, Cam Valenti still, at Port Adelaide. So, bizarrely hasn't got a big bash contract, and I'd certainly have him in the striker's side.
Absolutely.
And that side of things. And Andrew's also at Port Adelaide. So, yeah, I'd favour, with what the player availability there, I'd favour Port Adelaide.
Fair enough. Each team so far has had one win in their 4 matches, so it's going to prove to be a huge second half of the season. Hopefully the weather holds out. Looks like it could be a little bit dicey over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a little bit in doubt at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll see how we go. All right, mate, we're going to take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk the BBL briefly and the women's cricket.
You're listening to the Game On podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
All right, we come back with the BBL cricket. The Adelaide Strikers failing for the 3rd time in a row at the New Year's Eve match.
Bit of a touch of deja vu with the year before too, where Stonis batting the Strikers out of it. Their bowling has been horrible, to say the least, and it showed how important Rashid Khan's been.
Yes.
To lose him, and it just seems like the whole bowling's fallen away. I think probably also Peter Siddle's been a bigger loss than imagined, even just for his leadership.
Mm-hmm. Well, they tied down ends. That was the beauty about them. They strangled teams into a lot of dot balls or a lot of ones.
Well, they just seem rudderless at the moment.
At the moment, it's 6 after 6 after 6.
Or Evans last night. Yeah,
we'll talk about that one in a minute. Obviously, Adelaide taking on the Perth Scorchers last night. And were looking to get themselves back into the top 4, or towards the top 4, but unfortunately that ended pretty badly as well.
Yeah, Evans just batted him 211, way too many to chase.
Started off okay, and at one stage the game was in sort of the balance, but they...
It's a huge total chase, and I'm sorry, Basley 3 overs for 57. We could have almost done a raffle and out of the crowd out of that. Yeah, it was pretty average again.
Just going back to the Strikers here in Adelaide, I mean, each game that's been played here, each team scored over 200 runs. And then, obviously, we come up against Perth over in Perth on a pretty quick wicket, and they scored 200 as well, and we seem to be batting okay. We take on Perth again very, very soon, and then the Melbourne Stars and the Renegades and the Sydney Sixers to finish us off. There's no room for error anymore. That's the thing.
I just think in reality we're not good enough. I just think that's the nuts and bolts in the bowling side of it. In terms of, I think Lynn doesn't end up finishing the tournament either. He doesn't play everything with, the 2020 circuit around the world.
Yep.
But yeah, it's sort of after him and Lynn and
Short.
Yep. The batting does fall away. I think Tom Kelly showed a little bit last night, and hopefully TK comes off, because at least it gives a bit of verve and enthusiasm out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's pretty disappointing. Look, as I say, I take or leave it on 2020, but
You still want to see them do well. We all want to see them do well, that's for sure. No, totally agree. As I mentioned, Adelaide need to start getting a move on if they want to participate, but at this stage it doesn't look that good. All right, mate, to finish us off today on our cricket-only episode, we're going to talk about the Australian women's cricket. Australia lost to India in the Test match by 8 wickets.
Again, come back, and I'll go on and on about it till the cows come home. Proper programming. Have a warm-up game before a Test match. Why not even play the one-dayers before the Test match? Mm-hmm. The Test match is meant to be the pinnacle, so Australia get there and a couple of days later are playing in a Test match. For mine, that's just insanity. Now they've adjusted, and they ended up dominating the last one day, which the tour should be done the other way around.
Yep.
Yeah, look, some great results in terms of in the one-dayers, but pretty disappointing in terms of what really counts for mine is the Test match.
Yep. Well, I mean, like you said, maybe reversing the situation or reversing the matches might have meant for a bit more of an entertaining Test match, which is what we all want.
Oh, look, Phoebe Litchfield was absolutely fantastic in the one-dayers. Got runs in every game.
Yep.
And was obviously the dominant player of that 3 series. Alana King bowled one of the leggies, and look, Kerry O'Keefe, as always, fantastic line last night where he said that Alana King, Georgia Wareham, Amanda Jade Wellington, surprise, surprise, Warnie's having an influence on females.
Yep.
Just vintage.
Classic line, yep.
And that. But, look.
I mean, Australia 7 for 338. That's a huge one-day score at the end of the day. And then obviously bowling India out for 148.
I tell you what, out of that, a couple of the Phoebe Litchfield took a screamer fielding. Talia McGrath takes one of the best catches. If people go back, go on to live cricket scores and go back through completed games on the Australian part and click on to see McGrath's catch. It is a blinder where she uses her height to the fullest and cups it in the other hand. It's a great catch, and they finished this tour with a flurry where. Just imagine now, if the Test match was on, you'd be really looking forward to it. Yeah. Dumb.
Litchfield taking a bit of a screamer there, and obviously batting as well pretty well. Can't say any more. The Australian women's cricket team, it would have been nice to see them get up in a Test match, but it is what it is.
Well, especially since they play so few Test matches.
Yeah, that's why.
It's not like the men's team where they play 15 or so Test matches in a year. The women's Test match play, they play a Test match about as often as Adam and Eve share apples, and that to then treat it with that disdain, just a quick hurry-up Test match program, crazy.
And to finish us off on the women's cricket, the Adelaide Scorpions currently sitting 3rd on the table at the moment. Courtney Webb leading the batting and Amanda Jade Wellington leading the bowling.
Yeah, and Amanda Jade Wellington, ice cool at the end of that 2020 tournament for the strikers as well as her leggies. I think she's very unlucky, but she's unlucky. There's King and Wareham there as well. I think she's unlucky not to be in the side.
Yes.
But it's pretty incredible at the moment. You've got 3 quality leggies for the Australians. So, unlucky. Probably the Scorpions have thrown away the odd game or two where Tasmania had a big partnership at 8 down to get up in one game. So, they're around the mark at least. So,
yes. Look, hanging in there. I mean, there's still a little ways to go, but we wish them the best for the remainder of the season. All right, mate, that's cricket episode done. Fantastic to talk just cricket. I know you love your cricket and obviously trying to cover all things in world cricket at the moment, but for me the biggest worry is probably the schedule and the Test match cricket and how it all fits together.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll do a little bit more on the stats with the A-grade side of things. It's a little bit hard with first grade in 2 divisions of first grade now too. So it's...
Trying to get some of those stats is also has been a bit of a...
Yeah, they're not great. No. It's not easy. It's not the best side in the world. Now, that's another topic.
Yep.
Yes.
So, anyway, all right, thanks, mate, for your time today on the Cricket Only podcast. Look forward to catching up with you for a regular podcast.
Definitely.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at SportsCast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.